You're listening to Get to Know World of Warships, a podcast created by Boggzy and Synpax.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me. Very exciting news. We're now in the last stage of the KOTS NA tournament. We've done the group of 64, the group of 32. We did the qualifiers. The only things we have left to do now are the groups of 16, 8, semifinals, and finals. So that's coming up this weekend. It's 9:22 today. That's going to make 9:26 and 9:27 if you're an American and you make your dates that way. I will be casting at least some of the games. I don't know how many, so come on by my stream if you'd like. I'm co-hosting with Osconts. That's going to be www.twitch.tv/BoggzyTime. The link will be down in the description below if you guys want to come and watch me stream some of these games. It's been really exciting. So that's what's going on now. And actually, my guest today is going to be one of the participants of the KOTS tournament who just got knocked out in the stage of 32. We're going to be talking with QQ7 in the form of TheMooseontheLoose. So, yeah, that's going to be going on. I think that'll be it for this episode. I should put out another one. Before you tell me, I know this is episode 51. I know I skipped 50. Sue me. No, wait, don't sue me, please. Yeah, don't sue me. And here we are talking with QQ7's TheMooseontheLoose. What's going on, Moose?
Just hanging out after work today.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. I know you just got off work, so let's get right into it. You are the leader of QQ7, and QQ7 is the tertiary clan in the Devastating Strike clan series, as we all know, 07 and 007. And you're in charge of QQ7. Now, I've been wondering this for a while because I feel like I heard this rumor that QQ7 actually started as like a different clan that sort of just gravitated over, changed its name to be part of the 07 group. Is that it, or did they literally did the 07 crew start it from scratch and say, hey, we're going to fill up a third subclan?
It's actually, there was a merger between Epoxy and 007. And that left Epoxy pretty much empty. And I was not a member at this time. I joined just after the merger occurred. And it was decided to do something with the clan because, the clan had, it had all kinds of structures and, all the other clan benefits. So I don't know who specifically decided to create QQ, but I joined literally right as QQ was formed last year. After most of the members from Epoxy had gone to 00 and helped form a stronger core of 00.
Sure, yeah. So if I'm hearing this correctly, it's almost as if you guys, this might sound insulting and I don't mean it to, but it almost sounds like you guys were like the leftovers. Is that of the?
It's actually almost everyone in QQ is new to the 07 community. There's not a lot of people left from O or 00 in QQ, so we've done pretty much all of our own recruiting. We recruit independently from O and 00. I mean, O hardly ever recruits people. It's pretty rare. They're very stable in terms of their membership. One can imagine why.
Well, it's a roomful of lions, so I would assume that people don't generally leave until they. I always wonder how aggressively horrible of a person you'd have to be to get kicked out of 07. That always surprises me to think what would you have to do to get kicked out? That seems to be probably just stop playing or not care anymore. That seems to be the first way to get kicked out.
Yeah, there's been some stuff that that has occurred. I mean, there's been people who just lost interest in the game and other stuff that doesn't really need to be going into detail over.
Yeah, well, we're not here to talk about 07 anyway. We're here to talk about QQ7. And you just told me before we started talking that there was actually, I had caught wind of something while casting for KOTS that you actually corrected me on, because I think I realized that when the assets came up, when I was casting a couple of the QQ7 games, this time around in KOTS 11, the name of the clan came up as Social Clan. And I literally, I think I said on stream, I said, that can't be right. I feel like they've got a real name, and I couldn't remember what it was. So please correct me.
Yeah, that's us taking something that Senpai said and turning it into a meme, because the last KOTS, I think it was this spring. I think it was during the KOTS finals. Senpai was, just talking about the '07 community. He's like, we got '07 and 007, which are, our competitive clans, and then we have QQ, which is more of a social clan. And we've been trying to shake, even at that time, we were trying to shake the mentality that we were a social clan. But we just kind of decided to run with it as a meme.
Right.
So we very much intentionally named ourselves Social Clan going into KOTS, just because that's kind of how we are.
Yeah.
So yeah, we run with it as a meme. If you look at at our description on in game and on Warships numbers, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
We run with it as a meme. Officially, the name of the clan is High Caliber. It keeps in with the whole '07, 07's Devastating Strike,
Yeah.
007's Double Strike, High Caliber. We're all named after heroic achievements.
Right.
But yeah, the whole social clan thing that's just something we kind of took and ran with ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes perfect sense to me now. I saw Social Clan pop up and I went, I know that I've got some of my assets are wrong, and I was like, did I get it this wrong?
Next KOTS, I think we have another fun name. We're always going to have a funny name when we do KOTS.
I think for KOTS, it's good to do that, though. Gaishu's name is always something different. There's a whole bunch of clans that change the actual name. The abbreviation stays the same, but the name of the clan is something bizarre.
Yeah, and I think you'll see that from us, where we'll always have kind of a silly name.
Yeah, I especially like the PED2 group. Their name in KOTS is almost always Epstein didn't torp himself, which I think is pretty funny. So fun creativity there, but obviously we'll get to talking about KOTS a little more specifically, because I think it should be pointed out that even if as a name you guys are called Social Clan, you guys are anything but. I had the privilege of watching a couple of your games and casting them this time around, and I don't want to say surprised, because I always regarded you guys as very competitive, but you guys put up good numbers, and you guys put up good fights, so it was great to see. I was stoked. I think I'm looking at it right now. I think I got 4 QQ7 games. Yeah,
you did 4 of our games.
Yeah, it was a delight each time. You guys always you guys had this really cool habit of your positions, the strengths of your ship, how to play competitively, and you also sort of, it's this odd distinction that I make sometimes when I'm watching the clans that are there's high hurricane clans that don't usually take risky plays, because they tend to take the formulaic correct things to do. It's odd to say that, but they're very risk averse, almost all of them. And then there's the low hurricane teams, the ones that don't place quite as high. They're not in the 200s or what have you, but they're consistently hurricane teams, which means they're good. But sometimes they still want to take risks, and that makes for such a more fun game. And watching you guys take risks along with some of the other teams in the round of 32, it absolutely made my day, because it's so much more fun that way.
Yeah, some of that comes from how late we decided to join KOTS. I don't know if you've done any of AP's games yet, but you'll notice that one of our guys is playing for AP.
Is that right?
Because he asked. Yes, yeah. Lowski is playing for AP this KOTS because we committed so late that we were on the waiting list. And by that time, Lowski had voiced that he was going to play KOTS no matter what, even if he was going to play for another team. And we kind of came in right under the wire. We weren't even sure if we were going to play. The planning was cobbled together at the last second, which led to some interesting, risky kind of things that we had to do. A lot of our normal, clan battles players who, if we were trying to, finally, push a rating into Hurricane, I might not play them in the boats they're in. I had a couple of CV mains on the list, which definitely led to some interesting strategy calls. I was also limited. I didn't have enough destroyer players to run certain strats that I wanted to do, which definitely led to some interesting choices in terms of composition and strategy.
Well, that's the most wonderful thing too about this, is that we've seen I mean, I'd love to hear your opinions on it. I don't want to talk too much about KOTS because I don't want to make this just like a KOTS interview. It's really about you and QQ7. But I mean, I do want to hear your opinions on it because we've seen the dark horse to me in this KOTS and KOTS 11 has been the Smaland. And we've actually seen that get banned a number of times because I never really would have expected the Smaland to be used as frequently as it is. 6.8 kilometer detection at sort of like a standard build that forgoes concealment for range and heals and DPM and whatnot. I mean, did that surprise you guys at all?
No, we expected to see a lot of small ones. It's one of the reasons why we banned them. We knew AP was going to be running them heavily, and so we banned it just to force them to take something else.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously AP was a little bit better prepared than we were. It kind of showed in the games we played against them.
Yeah.
It's
been very interesting to see. I mean, the return of the destroyer as a competitive tool. Obviously we've had CVs in the clan battles for the last 2 seasons, and it sounds like we're going to again for the next season, which has really limited the use of the destroyer, especially in season. God, was it season 9? The tier 10 with a CV season. Destroyers were basically just taken out of because it's so easy for carriers to spot and destroy them. But it was great seeing destroyers come back into the game in a competitive mode this way. And could you just give me a little rundown on like your guys' thought process on which destroyer to bring and why?
We were running. Before the bans, we were running Smalands on occasion. Certain maps where we thought we could benefit from getting another destroyer into a radar trap. Especially if there was a side where we were playing a Petro. Petro got banned a lot, which didn't really surprise me.
Yes.
But if we were playing a side with a Petro, putting another Smaland there where you can help the Petro, trap whatever enemy DD's on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
That was something that we had planned on doing.
Yeah.
Well,
so obviously, we're in the same boat in the sense that both TNG and QQ7 got knocked out in the round of 32. Won't be going on to round of 16, but obviously we got plenty of games in. Both teams got plenty of games in, and won a few, lost a few. But were you guys expecting to make it to 16, or do you guys expect to sort of get bogged down in round 32 or so?
We were kind of hoping that we would get to 16, but we wound up in a pretty strong bracket. I mean, KSC and AP are both very good teams, and I think if I'd had a little more prep time and I didn't have some of the availability issues, like I said, because of how late we decided to go into KOTS, some of the players that I would have liked to have had, they didn't have the availability because they couldn't schedule around it.
Sure.
I think we definitely could have gotten into the round of 16, but I mean, I'm not disappointed with where we got to. It was it's my first time calling in KOTS. I haven't participated in KOTS before, and though I've been lead caller for QQ7, pretty much since the clan was founded.
Yeah,
I have not done KOTS before,
but
so
this is your first.
A very new experience for me.
That's great. I actually didn't know that. This is only my second. I was in the TNG2 team last, was it February or January when the last KOTS happened, and as is no secret anymore, the main team for TNG then is now KSX, is the new KSC team. Sort of funny to watch that. I sort of look at that and I go XTNG or something like that. So, that was TNG2 made it to round of 16 last time, which we were all thrilled with, and obviously this time we got knocked out in 32 as well. We went up against Gaishu, and then never a fun thing to see when you get put up against Gaishu's team, but. So I'm curious because I was calling your last games against KSC, and there was something like Oskans and I were both watching, and we, especially the second game against the three, they did 3 destroyers both times, but in the second game on Crash Zone Alpha, Oskans and I were both sort of sitting there going, we don't know what QQ7 should do here. We can see everything, and even with seeing everything, we cannot figure out the right thing for them to do. And we were just sitting there just blown away because, you guys were playing great. You know, you weren't making mistakes. You guys had this cool strategy of putting that Moskva up in the next to the rock by the B cap, which we'd seen you do, I think, against, was it Troya or was it?
It was 5D2.
5D2, which we really liked. We thought, oh, that's a cool, that's a cool way to put radar there, and it covers the B cap. It's a strong. The Moskva is a strong ship against destroyers that would likely be trying to take the B cap. Plus, it kind of covers the C cap with radar. We just were like, that's awesome. It's great to see. And we even saw you guys sneaky try to like actually contest the cap with the Moskva.
So, yeah, I figured out just from playing around, in training rooms that on the Bravo spawn for Crash Zone, you can sneak a cruiser into the cap and have him not get blapped from the northern side of the C cap. You can't do it from the Alpha spawn. From the Alpha spawn, you'd have to play differently. But it's why we generally picked Crash Zone, was so we can try to plan around doing
right.
Because I was limited to 2 destroyers. That was the big limitation I was facing. I only had 2 people who had comp experience in destroyers, and had enough destroyers that if if certain destroyers started getting banned, it really would have hurt if I'd had some other players trying to play DD.
Yeah.
Now,
well, that's interesting.
I think that was the thing that really screwed us, was that I only had 2 DDs to work with. If I'd run a 3 DD strat, I think we probably would have fared a lot better. And that was really our downfall versus both AP and KSC, was that we couldn't get the early cap pressure in because we had to wait for our cruisers to get set up. And that put that, especially on Land of Fire, that put us in such a tremendous hole that we just couldn't get out of, and let KSC play very passively for the second half of the game.
They were really, really careful. Yeah. I mean, that's sort of what I was talking about earlier when I watched I got to cast two of 07's matches. In that High Hurricane style is to just be really passive, really careful, and wait for a mistake. That's sort of, when I describe to folks who I've been getting folks now coming from like Storm League clans saying, hey, we recognize you from this and that, like, can you teach us how to play clan battles? And I sort of chuckle to myself, being like, well, I'm not that good at clan battles, I'm not the right person to ask. But I sort of relate to them that really what the really top clans do is they just know the fire angles, and they know the placement, and they know what ships and what positions are capable of doing what, and then they just put those things there and they wait for something to happen they can take advantage of. And it does come across as very, very passive, but it's so hard to defend against if you also don't quite, if you're not prepared and ready and experienced with that. So let's do this. I want to take the break real quick, and when we come back, I'll have you sink a ship. So if you're not familiar with it, or anybody listening is not familiar with it, sink a ship is where I'm going to have you basically go into the Wargaming ship roster's Twitter history. I want you to look back 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, whatever. Find something you don't like and find offensive, and cancel that ship. They never existed. They're gone. They were just a figment of your offended imagination. So we're going to have Moose on the Loose do that when we come back after this little advertisement break.
Hi there. Are your camos out of date? Old-fashioned? Are you looking for something new that says, I'm a contender, I want to be taken seriously in World of Warships, I've got just the thing for you. Introducing the Steel Camos. Nothing says I'm better than you than spending an entire clan battle season worth of steel on a camo you already had. Let your neighbor know your wife would rather be with me with a steel camo today. Pick one up in the armory for only the small price of 10,000 steel. You know, that resource that people are paying each other real money for? Get one today.
Thank you all for sticking with us through the commercial break, which is clearly a real commercial and not just me making something up on the fly. Talking here with QQ7's The Moose on the Loose. We're talking a little bit about KOTS. We're talking a little about what it's like to be part of the 07 club, I suppose is what you'd say. And so I asked you to sink a ship before. I asked you to cancel a ship, as is such a trend now in Hollywood. So what are you gonna cancel, buddy?
A ship that's clearly broken in its tier, and that's Belfast.
The Belfast, still sitting pretty. You'll never sink the real Belfast. It's on the Thames River in London, sitting there.
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit, I do enjoy playing it, but boy, it's clearly broken.
Tier 7.
Radar, hydro, and smoke.
Yep. That's pretty filthy. Now, they're
as
releasing
toolboxes go.
As toolboxes, yeah. Now, they're releasing, like, was it Belfast 43, right? Is that Tier 8 or Tier 10, I forget?
It's Tier 8, and I think the Tier 7's going to be better.
You think
I
so?
Think if you put, I think if you put a 1v1 between current Belfast and the new Belfast, I don't think it's a contest.
Is that right? I haven't actually looked at the... it's been a little while since I've looked at the stats of the Belfast 43. I want to look it up real quick while we talk here. What's different about it exactly? Does it not have the same toolbox?
It has torpedoes. I think it has like daring smokes, so the smokes don't last as long, and I do not think it has radar.
It does. Okay, so it's got hydro, it does have smoke and radar, but the smoke is basically British DD smoke, so it's it lasts.
They did leave the radar in. Okay.
Yeah, it lasts 40 seconds, and the action time is only 15 seconds, and now it's so it does have both, but it doesn't sound like it's quite as, let's say, it's quite as toxic as the previous ones. So
Belfast at its tier is it should not have been a Tier 7.
Probably not, no. Well, I think that might be the first to actually sink in the Belfast, but few other cruisers deserve it at Tier 7 more than the Belfast being too good. So I want to get back to KOTS if you don't mind. And I don't want to beat this dead horse because I have not watched a more fun game of KOTS than really you guys versus KSC in the last there. And I do want to ask you about like what was going through your guys' mind in the second game when it was clear that they just, on Crash Zone Alpha, they had the 3 destroyers that were able to constantly cap and recap the caps. What's it like for a good clan like you guys facing this strategy setup that seems really, really difficult to defeat? What were you guys, you said this is your first time calling KOTS, so like what? Tell me, take me back there. Tell me what that was like.
I mean, I was a little frustrated that we couldn't get. I'd sent 2 cruisers down to try to get, anybody out down at the sea cap and try to give my DD a freer hand, and they just wound up pinned, and we couldn't get the kill. I knew we needed to get another cap. I think you saw me basically just do something you don't do in a Thunderer, which is just W key into a cap with it.
Yes, into the D cap.
I had to stop the points.
Right. And
the whole time, I'm trying to get my guys up north to try to force the Des Moines, who's holding up, I think he was on the very north side of the sea cap. I'm trying to get him reversed so I can get a shot on him. I think if you watch the replay, you'll see, yes, I'm shooting AP at a destroyer because I'm trying to keep AP loaded for when I get that one instant to get a shot on the Des Moines. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be caught, with HE out.
Right.
But, I mean, KSC is a good team, and he never really gave me a good opportunity.
Yeah, they knew when to fall back and when to push forward for sure. They really did pinch you guys there, but Oscons and I, like I said before the break here, we were literally going, okay, like let's put ourselves in QQ7's shoes. What do they do here? How do you dislodge, these Stalingrads, these Des Moines that went out wide, that are being protected by battleships? Like, what do you do? And we were just dumbfounded. We're like, we don't know what to do. So we finally saw, I think you sent Feva up to the north side of C to try to dislodge that Des Moines that was there, and you guys did. You pinched him. You surprise butt-sexed him up there in the top corner. But I think by that point, just so much time had been lost trying to figure out how to recap those circles that you just couldn't quite. You just didn't have enough time to like capitalize on knocking those guys out of the corner up there. So my condolences to you, because that was really, really difficult to watch and not be like, oh my god, I don't even know what to do here. I can see the whole map, and I don't know what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, like I said, going up against a 3DD strat on CZA with a 2DD strat, that's a low percentage outcome right there. You're not going to win that one.
It's a tall order, yeah. Well, so moving on from KOTS, I kind of want to know, just from you, what it's like to be sort of part of the 07, 007, QQ7 menagerie. Obviously, these are some of the biggest dogs in the game, and They got a big Discord server full of lots of people. And I'm just sort of curious what it's like to be QQ7 in that trifecta.
I mean, we're a pretty tight knit community. Initially it's taken us a little while to kind of make a name for ourselves. We're finally where we think we need to be. We're getting into Hurricane again. It's been a long road of build up to try to get us. At the beginning, I think we were riding more on the name than our performance.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we're performing at a reasonable level, we're just another clan in the community now. I guess that's how I feel about it.
All right. Well, I think honestly that this KOTS around should show anybody who was wondering just the capabilities that you guys have. That you guys are absolute contenders. So I hope that makes a difference in your recruiting in the future. I guess my question now for you is, how did you specifically, Moose, come to be in charge of QQ7? Did they vote on you?
No. When I joined, I was just another member. We were being led by a couple of other people, and there was one of them. There was some sort of falling. I don't really know the specifics, but there was some sort of falling out between one of the old leaders, one of the founders of QQ, who I think was originally a member of 00, and a couple other people in the community, and I kind of inherited the position. I never really came to QQ with the intention of being leader. In QQ, our leadership structure, there's actually 3 of us who kind of share the command structure.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could say I'm in charge of the competitive side of things. I do clan battles. I wound up doing most of the planning for KOTS. I mean, I didn't do the planning alone, obviously, but that's kind of my side of things. And then Skylaw and Mirage are the other 2 leaders, and we all, there's no like rank difference between us. It's kind of a trifecta who are the de facto leaders of QQ.
Yeah, the Roman triumvirate. I get it. Well, so let me ask you before we move on to pitching your clan to Synpax, who ain't here anymore. I'm kind of curious to know if you specifically have any thoughts on the preliminary characteristics of the next clan battle season. For anybody, by the way, who is listening who hasn't heard yet, because they've released it on the dev blog, it's looking like 7v7 clan battles, tier 10, with the option of bringing either 2 battleships and no carrier, or 1 carrier and 1 battleship, which they're sort of metering out the potential spotting ability of the carriers by having every map have an automatic cyclone, basically reducing the visibility of everything to 14 kilometers. So that's sort of what we're working with. And Moose, I'm curious to know what you think about that.
I'm still waiting to see how this plays out. My initial thoughts are and once you get up to High Typhoon, Hurricane, I don't think you're going to be seeing a lot of 2 battleship comps. Even with reduced spotting, the utility provided by a good carrier player is still going to it's going to be too much. Mm-hmm. You can't ignore the ability to spot over here and then 1 minute later be spotting the opposite side of the map.
Right.
Just the intelligence that provides, and the ability for someone like me who's calling to be able to know what's going on and how to react. That alone is something you can't ignore. Plus the amount of damage that a good carrier driver is going to be able to output.
And you and I were talking earlier about which carrier, about whether or not we thought the Richtofen was going to be a major factor in that. Do you think that we're going to see a whole bunch of Richtofens?
I'm unsure of which carrier is actually going to be best. I'm not a carrier player.
What?
So, no. You can look me up. I am not a carrier player by any stretch of the imagination. I do think we may experiment with it and see how it does, and we'll see what the typical, there's always a meta that kind of settles in after a couple of weeks, and we'll see what ships have kind of fallen into the meta and whether or not Richthofen is good at dealing with them.
Yeah.
The thing with Hakuryu is it's kind of an all-arounder. It can deal with pretty much everything well. We'll see. That
Sure. Yeah. Well, what about battleships? I mean, I honestly think that we might see a whole bunch of 2 battleship comps, because 1 battleship versus a carrier is free lunch, but 2 battleships is an enormous alpha strike potential against not only against a carrier should it get spotted, but also against a cruiser. Do you think we're going to see? Do you think we're going to see like double Yamato or double Shikishima, or something with enormously long range, essentially find and just blap that carrier right out of the gate?
With the spotting distance being reduced, because I think it starts like 5 minutes into the game, your spotting distance goes down to 14. So if you're running 2 battleships, good luck finding the carrier. That carrier driver, he's gonna hit the S key and he's gonna be on the map edge.
Yeah,
you're not gonna find him. So I think bringing battleships purely for the range is going to be the wrong way to go. I mean, typically, I mean, you saw the games we played in KOTS. I've tended to play extremely aggressively in the battleships that I was in.
right.
That's kind of how I think you're going to see them being used. Because if you're going to bring 2 battleships, you need to bring that health into the fight, and you need to use them to soak the damage up for your other ships, so you can get into positions where they can take advantage of the ships that are stuck fighting your battleship. That's how you should be using them, at least in my opinion. I'm sure I'll get shit for this from the other guys in the community, but the battleship basically is a distraction from the cruisers, which are going to be killing everything.
Right.
And I like I said, though, once you start getting up, in the high typhoon and hurricane, I think you're going to see it's going to be 1 battleship and 1 carrier.
Yeah, it's hard not to take advantage of the utility.
And the battleships I see, I mean, obviously you've got Kremlin, Ohio. I mean, you can even run Thunder because it's extremely accurate and overmatch depending on what you're facing. But Thunder falls apart if you start hitting it a lot.
It certainly
does not have the durability to stay in a fight like Kremlin or Ohio does.
Right. Well, excellent. I appreciate you sort of doing some theory crafting with us on that. I suppose at this point we'll just wrap up and take it to Poach Synpax segment, as everybody knows now, or at least you should know. Synpax has left TNG. He has left the podcast. I'm still doing it, but I'm going to keep calling the segment Poach Synpax as this is your opportunity to basically see if Synpax were here, what would you say to get him to want to join QQ7?
I don't even know.
It's a commercial for your clan, man. Come on.
Join High Caliber. We got lots of memes.
We're
good at.
If I want memes, I'll go to Peds. If I want Gen Z memes, I'll go to Peds. Well, you guys are a consistently hurricane clan now. You guys had a strong showing in KOTS. You're part of one of the most notoriously powerful groups in terms of player skill and social clout. I'll poach him for you. How about that? And you seem like a great guy, and it sounds like the QQ7 crew is a more welcoming than expected group of people. Would that be fair?
We're not a bad bunch of people. We don't really have. We're despite the community's reputation, we're a pretty relaxed bunch.
Right. Social clan, right?
Social clan. Come on, you gotta love it.
Fair enough, brother. Well, I appreciate you coming by and having some chat with me. I'll make sure we put the 07 Discord, which BFK's given to us before for the podcast. So I'll make sure that's included down there in the bottom. That's where QQ7 calls home as well. So I'm trying to think if there was anything else. Is there any other link you want me to put in there for you?
No, that's Discord is our main form of if someone wants to come say hello. If you think you have a shot at joining us or you're interested, just shoot me or one of the other leaders or recruiters from QQ up on Discord, and we'll get back to you.
Sounds great, man. Well, thank you very much for coming by, and thank you all for listening. I appreciate it as well. I'll have links to the 07 Discord, the TNG Clan Embassy Discord, and my Twitch stream below, so you can come by and say hi to me anytime you want. So Moose on the Loose, thank you for joining me.
Yep, thank you.
See everybody later.